Hello there, thank you so much for stopping by. My name is ChitChad and welcome back to another episode of Planet Coaster, where we are working on a Super Mario theme park. For today's episode, we are going to continue working on the interior of the Luigi's Mansion Dark Ride, just filling out some of those blank spaces that have been blank for far too long, and going back and making some mild adjustments to scenes that we already have put in place. The main thing we're going to be doing on this episode is going to be adding a lot more triggered events, that being events that have something to do with lights or effects, because while I was tinkering with some of the mechanics of this ride, I realized that some of the lights could actually be turned off while still having a physical presence, allowing me for greater control of the atmosphere that I want to give off on this ride. So I was very excited about that and wanted to start adding new lighting elements all over the ride. And one of the things that I've been having particular trouble with for this dark ride is just having everything be so compact. A lot of the rooms lead directly into another room, so some of the textures like I was using that you can see me replacing here on the walls were just not working anymore because we have so much in this ride. And like I said, one wall shares a space with another wall, and if I add something that goes through it, then it's going to be seen on the other side. So I've been trying to find new ways to just really compress this ride and get all the textures in place and hide all of the things that we don't want the viewer or the rider, whatever we want to call them, we don't want them to see that stuff. So we want to make this look as good as possible. It's been quite the challenge, but it's been one that I have welcomed and am so excited for to carry on this knowledge that I'm gaining, kind of fumbling, trying to make this work and carry that knowledge further, and definitely learning better ways to do this. Like if I were to redo this now, I would definitely build it modularly and build each scene kind of independently and then place each of those scenes inside of a showroom building. The one thing I really worry about with these kind of series is just how often I have to move the camera just to be able to see what I'm doing. And I've had to particularly speed down or not speed up the footage as much for some of these builds just because it's so hard to follow, and I want you all to be able to at least kind of see what I'm doing. Normally it's at around 600 to 700%, but I've definitely had to go between 5 and 6 lately, just because of how often I've got to move the camera and how much the camera fights with you when you're inside of a building or trying to build something in an interior. It's one thing that Planet Coaster always seems to have a little bit of trouble with. It feels like you're almost punished for trying to build stuff inside and build like these elaborate set pieces inside of a building. So to kind of counteract that, in the future I'm going to build the scenes separately outside of whatever show building that I'm going to contain them in, and build each of the scenes separately, lay them out, and then kind of just place them in where they need to go. And then if I need to build kind of connecting scene pieces between each of those rooms, I'll do that there. But it would be a lot easier to do it that way than try to build everything in the ride all together at once and make sure that the track lines up and works. That's another thing too, is that especially with all the elevation changes that are in this particular dark ride, that's also been something that I've had to combat with, is trying to get the ride to go from, okay, it's gone from the first floor to the second floor, now we got to get back down to the first floor again, but thematically how am I going to make that work? And I've had a lot of fun with this ride, certainly a lot of challenges, but good challenges, things that I can use in the future. One of the things that I really wanted to talk about in this episode is that by the time this episode probably comes out, because I'm recording a bunch of these back to back to back to try and get them out sooner, is that if I am correct, the studio pack either is about to come out or already is out. And there's a lot of things in that pack that I think are going to really help this ride in particular. But also just to help out everything. Like we were talking about glass in the last episode, and as of recording this right now, it's only been 2 days after they announced the studio pack. So I'm sure by the time this video comes out, there's going to be all sorts of information. Like I think they talked about the 3 different ride vehicles. One was a very Tower of Terror / Guardians Breakout style ride. The other one was very much the Harry Potter and Forbidden Journey kind of ride with a mechanical arm. And then and I believe the last one is the Studio Tram Tour. So they were basically must have looked at like Universal Studios and, you know, California Adventure / Disney's Hollywood Studios, like, let's just make that, which I find very humorous. But certainly I'm looking forward to working with those rides. I think particularly the tram tour might be fun to add to even this park. I want to add some sort of transportation element, and you can actually use, if I'm correct, in what I've read on the forums, you can use that transportation ride as an actual, like, almost like a bus route. And it would even be cool if you built like a parking lot, because they're going to be vehicles in the new pack. I forgot about there's going to be vehicles. So you could add vehicles to make it look like a parking lot, and then have that tram be like taking you from the parking lot to the actual theme. Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm just now thinking about that. That would be so much fun. Sorry, I'm kind of geeking out about it already. And for sure, I'm going to want to do a video of just kind of like looking at all the new stuff once it comes out, much like I did with the Spooky Pack. I did miss doing that with the Adventure Pack because that was during my hiatus. So I'm going to try my best to get the Studio Pack one done and up as soon as I get my hands on it, because I'm very excited. Right now, like I said, I'm just kind of fleshing out a lot of the areas that were very blank to me in the past and trying to clean stuff up, because there's a lot of black walls, and even though the lighting is going to help hide a lot of those transitions between set piece to set piece, I still want it to look full. And one of the things I'm really grateful for is that the star pattern seems to absorb light, or that it just doesn't accept light on its texture. So I've been using that to really hide, because even with the walls that I'm using, even though they are black in tone, you can still see the lines that are just a part of the wall texture. So I want to get rid of those as much as possible. And then I'm using that star field to kind of really help, especially towards the end of the ride, where it gets much more condensed in terms of the height of the ceiling and just the amount of space that the car has to maneuver around in. It's very compact, and that's just because there's so much around the car. You have the queue, you have the ceiling, you have the other side of the ride, so really that space is really tiny. And you'll see for a while, I'm like, maybe I should put a door here. And as I was trying to do, I'm like, no, that's a bad idea. So, you know, sometimes you just gotta, like, you get an idea in your head and you're like, oh, let's see if that works. And then you're like, what was I thinking? And you immediately get rid of it. And then you'll see me try to fumble with this tree and not being able to figure out which tree is actually the one that's peeking through the star field that's cutting into the workshop area of the ride. And sometimes it just happens. And when objects are overlaying on top of one another, you sometimes just have to like move all the objects out of the way until you get to the one you want in order to actually be able to edit it. So you're going to see a lot of zooming in and zooming out for the adding the triggers, and I do apologize if that's a little bit jarring. I try the best I can to like keep in mind that I am recording this and trying to make it so that it's not a harrowing journey trying to watch these videos. I'm zooming in and out, trying to apply these effects or work inside of a enclosed area. So again, if it's a little jarring, I do apologize. I do try my best to make it not that. So that's going to lead us into the questions on the Discord. That's right, I do have a Discord. Feel free to join it. I'll leave a link to it in the description below. But on my Discord, I have a sub-channel called Planet Coaster Topics and Questions, where I will answer your questions and maybe talk about your topics. So for today, we've got a couple of new questions. Another one from Phyllis. I hope I'm saying your name right, at least in one of those two ways. What is your favorite Mario enemy? Not Koopalings? You know me too well. Immediately he's like, not the Koopalings. And what ideas do you have for future projects? So obviously my favorite character is Larry, just literally because of his name. His character design is pretty great too, but I love Larry. So if I'm not allowed to pick them, I actually really just like playing as the Koopa Troopas. I always play as them. Well, I always did play as them until, you know, the Koopalings were added to the Mario Karts. Mario Kart Double Dash being probably my favorite Mario Kart game. I would always play as the Koopas. And I think even in Mario Golf you could play as them. But if I can't even pick any of the, well, gosh, I'm trying to think. The Boos are all right, but I don't really care much for them. The Hammer Bros are pretty cool. Yeah, I'm trying to think of some of the newer enemies. Gosh darn it. I'm forgetting his name. Oh shoot, what's his name? He's playable in Mario Party 10, and he's a boss character, or not a boss character, but he's an enemy character that throws spikes at you. Is his name just Spike? Is his name literally Spike? I think it's Spike. If that's, I'll throw a picture up of him if I remember to do that. Yeah, I like that guy a lot too. So there you go. Hopefully those are some good answers. Next one is from Mac, who asks, have you played Mario Odyssey and will you make a coaster based on that game? Which I think we talked about that in another question, maybe not last episode, but the episode before that. Yes, I would like to make a Mario area, or at least a tiny Mario, Super Mario Odyssey, or Mario Odyssey. Oh, sorry, getting a little tongue-tied. A Mario Odyssey area to the park. Definitely not like a huge land, but maybe like you suggested, just doing like one coaster themed to what I would like to do is New Donk City. And what kind of inspires me to do that is the Rip Ride Rocket Hollywood roller coaster over at Universal Studios Orlando. It's a really fun ride that's very musically driven. You actually get to select the song you want to listen to while you're on the ride from their list of songs and categories. And if you know the codes, you can actually hold down the logo in the once you're in the ride and the lap bar comes down. The lap bar has a little touch screen. If you hold down the logo, it'll bring up a dial pad, and in that dial pad, if you know the numbers, you can actually access other songs that the ride developers put in the ride, which I thought was really cool. So I would like a ride that's Mario Odyssey themed in New Donk City with a kind of a cover, if I would be so bold to do a cover of the Super Mario Odyssey theme songs. I love that song. I just think that'd be really fun to have a very musically driven ride that's more of just like a rush experience. Pretty short roller coaster that just kind of zips in and out of like the city. Maybe even see some of the band playing as you're just kind of whipping around all the different environments and going in and out of buildings. I just think that'd be kind of fun and definitely visually different from the rest of the things that we have in the Mario ride. But I don't want to promise that. We'll see what happens after we build the Mushroom Kingdom area and just kind of see what space we have to work with, because I would like to eventually move on to other themes besides Mario, which I'm considering, if I haven't already, doing multiple series at once, just to kind of get a fresh kind of look and feel for Planet Coaster, just because I love this game and I want to be able to do other things with it. And yeah, we'll just see what happens. Thank you so much for your question. So that is actually going to be the last question. So thank you for all of your questions. I really appreciate it. And that is actually going to lead us to the end of today's episode. Thank you so much for watching. I super appreciate it. And as always, I will chat with you later.